Thinking about writing a memoir but don't know where to start? This video is for you. I'm going to walk you through the 4 things you need to know before you start writing your memoir. My name's Kelly Notaris. I'm the founder of KN Literary Arts. We are your one-stop shop, full-service book studio, helping you get from wherever you are to having a book in your hand. So visit us at knliterary.com. I've also been a book editor in the U.S. publishing business for over 24 years, and I bring all the wisdom I gained during that time to you right here on this YouTube channel. So please don't forget to click subscribe and hit that little bell icon so you never miss a video. All right, today I want to talk to you about 4 things you must know before you start writing your memoir. These are the critical elements that will help you get to your vision for the book and then get you writing and help you know where you need to go with that writing process. So number 1 is you need to know your theme. Your theme is the segment of your life that your memoir is going to be about. A memoir is not a chronicle of every minute of your life. It usually centers around a theme. So this is either an experience you've had over and over, like for example, let's say your experiences with men. You could write a whole memoir about your experiences with men, whether you're a man or a woman, starting with your experience with your father all the way till today. That's the theme. That's the segment of your life you're going to be talking about. Now, that doesn't mean you're not going to talk about your relationship with your mother and your relationship with your kids. Of course you are. But the theme, the thing that's going to tie the whole book together, that's going to be what hooks the interest of the exact right reader, which I'm going to talk about in just a minute, is that theme. It's going to be, in that case, your relationships with men. Another thing that you might use would be a moment in time or an event. So you could write an entire memoir about your wedding, for example, or your house renovation, or having a child. Whatever that event is, that becomes the theme, and you are going to bring in all sorts of different things that happened before that, and maybe even things that happened after that. That's fine. But when you talk about the book, it is a book about the year that you were struggling with cancer, for example. So you're going to choose that theme. Number 1, most important thing. Nobody but people who know and love you already are going to be interested in reading an epic chronicle of all of your life, right? And when I, as an editor, ask an author, what is your memoir about? I'm expecting to hear a 1 to 2 sentence explanation of the theme. So for example, your theme might be triumph over difficulty, okay? But I want you to say that. I want you to say, I am writing about my triumph over cancer and the other difficulties in my life. Okay. I don't want to hear, I started off my life, living in a very difficult situation as a child. And then I moved on to another difficult situation that I overcame in this way. And then I moved on to this situation, which I overcame in that way. And then I got cancer, which I overcame. That's not a theme. Okay, the theme is triumph over tragedy as seen through my cancer journey. And between you and me, you're going to talk about all of the other events that led up to it. But that theme is your guiding light. It's your North Star. Okay, and it's what's going to get people interested in reading your book. So it's very, very important. It's how you market the book. So make sure that you have a theme that you think is viable to a large audience of people who are going to want to read it. Okay, the second thing that you absolutely must have is a list of scenes. Now, you may not stick to this list the whole time through your writing process, but having a list of the turning points that you intend to include in the book is extremely helpful for when you sit down every day to write. You don't have to ask yourself, oh my gosh, what point in my life am I writing about? You already have that list right there of different turning points you want to write about. And a scene is actually a moment in time. It's not you telling us about all the things that happened in that year of your life. It's actually that day at the store, in the conversation you were having with the clerk, we learn about what was happening in your life at the time. You take us along with you. You walk us through the experience, not telling us what you felt, but showing us. So your list of scenes is where you're going to show us the resolution of conflict, the building of tension, the reach for something you want or need. We're going to see it happen. You're not going to tell us it happened. Okay. So that list of scenes is very critical. You're going to leave a lot of your life on the cutting room floor. You cannot include every single moment, every single feeling, every single up and down. You just need to ask yourself, what does my reader need to know in order to understand where I was at that moment? And you tell it to us or show it to us in the form of a scene. So The second thing you need is that list of scenes, okay? And that will help you just explore with your writing, because you can write those scenes and then realize, oh, actually, I didn't even need that one in the book, but it brought in this memory of this one character who I do want to bring in the book, and I'm going to bring that person in a couple scenes down the road. So it's all an exploration process. Do not expect yourself to be able to sit down and write your memoir just straight through. It's a lot of exploration. It's a lot of letting go of your mind and letting your body and something bigger than you tell you what needs to be on the page. But it's really helpful to have that list of scenes as a starting place, or you may never sit down and write. Okay? The third thing you need is a transformational journey. So every memoir inside of it shows a transformation from you as the protagonist of the book, not knowing what you wanted or needed, discovering something you want or need, and then going after it. That is what the progression of a memoir is about. So you have to change over the course of the book. And so using those scenes to plot a transformational journey is exactly the right step. You want to show people where you were. They're with you. They're feeling your frustration about your marriage. And then your need to have more communication, or to have a partner who respects you and doesn't abuse you. And then we watch you take step by step your journey out of that marriage into a richer, fuller, more visceral experience of your life, okay? That is that transformation quality that we need to see, because that's why we read memoirs, is to see the transformation, all right? If what you're writing, let's just go back to having, maybe you have an illness or your child has an illness. If what you want to write is a how-to guide for someone, you don't need to worry so much about the scenes. But if you're writing a narrative memoir, you're showing us what we need to know. You're not telling us, okay? Prescriptive nonfiction is where you tell us what we need to do in our own lives in order to get through that illness or to overcome that difficulty. That's a totally different type of book. If you're writing a narrative memoir, we need to see that transformational journey happen in scenes, and we sort of learn it by osmosis. We watch what you did, and then maybe we learn something that we're going to do in our own life. Which brings me to the fourth thing that you absolutely need when you are writing a memoir, which is a really clear understanding of who your reader is going to be. So too often, I see authors skip over this one. They say, this book is for everybody. Everybody has someone in their life who, renovated their house. So surely everyone will want to read my memoir of my house renovation. But the fact of the matter is that very few people by and large even read books. That's the truth in the culture out there. And to be able to target a book to a specific reader, you need to know who that person is. You are looking for a customer in a sea of people who are not your customer. Okay? How do you signal to the person who this book is exactly right for that this book is for them? And until you know who that person is deeply inside of yourself, until you step into their shoes, you won't know what scenes to include or what kind of a transformational journey you even want to take them on, or even what the theme is. You need to be very specific about who it is that really wants and needs to read this memoir. So how do you choose that ideal reader? Well, you need to get a good idea of their demographics. So who are they? Where do they hang out? What kinds of work do they do? How do they spend their days? Where do they shop? What kind of TV shows do they watch? Who are they truly? And it's very tempting to say, well, they're me. They're exactly me. Maybe, but it may be a bit broader than just you, right? But certainly, let's say you're writing a parenting memoir. Your audience is going to be parents of children who have ADHD, for example. That's the theme. If that's the section of your life that you're going to focus on in your memoir, that is probably your ideal reader. Now, it may be, if you're a man or a woman and you saw that experience from that perspective, maybe it is going to be someone who is the same gender as you, but it may not be. It also may be something that's much more fluid than that. You have to decide that, right? But essentially, you're drilling down to who that person is for one important reason. So you can think of them with every word you put on the page. Too often, the authors that I come across are writing the book with no idea of what that reader needs, who they are. And so they write a book that doesn't end up having a reader. Now, it may be that you need to write your own story for you, and that right now you have not an iota of bandwidth to think about who's going to read it. You need to get it out of your body onto the page. You feel this soul urgency to get it out. That is wonderful. Totally reasonable, happens all the time. I often call it the book before the book. Because if you are not at a point right now where you are writing a book for a reader and you're writing it for yourself, it's unlikely to find a readership in the marketplace. And that's okay. Sometimes we have a story we need to get out of our creative pipeline before we can even start thinking about who the audience is going to be for our book. We need to get it out for ourselves. If that is you, I support you so thoroughly. Please write that book, because it's very likely that the wisdom that you got from that experience will actually be alchemized in the writing process to the point where you will be ready to bring it to a wider audience. It will no longer be that you're so bound by the story that you can only think of yourself when you're writing it, because you've already put that one out. It may be that you publish it and sell a few copies. It may be that you never publish it, and that's fine. But the next book that comes through is going to be liberated to be for and about your reader, because every good book is more about the reader than it is about the author. Okay? Every book that's widely read is more about the reader than the author. So if what you want is for your narrative memoir to be widely read, you must figure out who your ideal reader is, and you must consider that person every step of the way. I often say choose an avatar, meaning choose someone in your life who you love and care about and who you think is the ideal reader for this book, and then think of them every single time you sit down. Even put a picture of them above your computer so you can remember, I am writing this book for this person because I want them to understand my story. I need to be understood by them. Or maybe I know that they're going to end up going through this same experience, and I want them to have the benefit of my wisdom, my hard-won wisdom, when they go through it themselves. But you choose that person who you already love and care about, and then your emotions are invested in providing them with a story, with a theme and scenes that really are going to resonate for them, so that they too can have that same transformation that your main character, i.e. you, has in your book. All right. I hope this is helpful. If you have any additional questions, you can toss them below and we will answer them, or you can just come to knliterary.com. We have tons of resources there, and we have a schedule where you can sign up for a free call with one of our editors and really have the conversation directly with somebody who is a book publishing professional. So we'd love to hear from you, but in the meantime, happy writing.